welcome back to an episode of Between You and Me. Today we're doing another bonus episode. So it's going to be, once again, a bit casual, a bit fun, a bit crazy. Not crazy. It's just going to be me doing me, talking about what I feel like talking about. Like I said in the last episode, if you haven't listened to the previous bonus episode, can't really remember what I talked about. I think I talked about overthinking. So from the title, you guys can see I'm going to be talking about seasonal depression, which is, I think, something that a lot of us have to deal with at this time of year for people on the Eastern Hemisphere. I think that's correct. I don't know. People on this side of the world where we are experiencing winter or the time frame of winter season. Like, I'm pretty sure people in Australia right now, it's summer. They're enjoying their summer. But over here, we are experiencing the winter blues. So before I get into that, I had a bit of an annoying experience in the past 20 minutes because I'm sitting here, got myself ready for, this podcast episode, and I'm having so many problems with my recording device, and I'm really annoyed because it was purchased like literally less than a year ago. I haven't even had a year of this podcast existing yet, and I'm having problems with the recording device that I'm pretty sure I bought in the summer. And it was a good 500 fucking smackers, to be so transparent with you guys. So I'm really annoyed. It's like called the Zoom PodTrack P4 or something. I don't know. I looked up reviews afterwards because somebody recommended me to purchase this. And then when I looked up reviews, it said it's like discontinued or something. So I literally purchased a device that like is no longer being created, probably because it had so many problems. So I'm going to have to probably buy another one. I love this. Life is great. Anyways, so we're going to get into a little bit of a chat here about seasonal depression. And I just want to look it up quick so I can give you guys a proper definition because it is an actual disorder, right? It's called seasonal affective disorder. And a lot of people go by seasonal depression because the effects that normally will happen is that you feel a lot more symptoms of depression than maybe you normally would throughout the other parts of the year, throughout different seasons. So let me give you guys a little description. Seasonal affective disorder. Okay, this is defined by seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that relates to changes in seasons. SAD begins and ends at around the same time every year. If you're like most people with SAD, your symptoms start in the fall and continue into the winter months, sapping your energy and making you feel moody. These symptoms often resolve during the spring and summer months. Less often, SAD causes depression in the spring or early summer and resolves during the fall or winter months. So that would be the opposite, which I think like they said, will happen a lot less often than seasonal depression in the winter. Sorry, let me talk to you about my experience. It's funny because I think I only really realized that I had seasonal depression after a big chunk of my life had gone past. It definitely is a lot more present because I am living in Canada right now. For those of you that maybe don't know and are just listening to this podcast fresh without any kind of background on who I am, I've lived in several different countries throughout my life. I'm 23 years old now, and for the past 8 years, I've been in Canada. Before that, I was living in Switzerland, and before that, I was living in the US, and then before that, I was born in Canada, but I was only there for a couple years, don't really recall much of it. So when I was in the US, I was in upstate New York, which also still has pretty bad winters, so I still got to experience the really heavy snow, less sunshine, the treacherous weather, very cold. I would also spend a lot of time going back to Montreal during the winter months because that's where my family is. And if you guys know Montreal at all, in Quebec in Canada, it's terrible. Winters there are awful. They're so cold. It's probably the worst winters I've experienced. I've been there. Toronto area is a little bit better, although still very cold. It can get up to like negative 30 Celsius. And then Switzerland, on the other hand, you would think, with the mountains and this and that, it would be super, super cold. But the area that I lived in was not the coldest, actually. I was up in like the northern part of Switzerland, which it's a tiny, tiny country. So it doesn't really make much of a difference. But I wasn't up in altitude I was in a little city, pretty level to the sea level, I think. I don't know. Not too bad. Winters were really not that bad there. It never really snowed that crazy. I don't even think people really got their winter tires on. Like, it wasn't that type of thing. It was just, you know, a regular winter, cold enough. Obviously, when you went into the fucking Alps and shit, it would be freezing. But regardless, what I'm saying is the winters here are really kind of what set me into that mood of seasonal depression. And I started to realize it more and more the older I got. And that could also just be because I was getting a little bit more in touch with myself maybe, and a little bit more aware of how my mental health changes throughout the seasons. So I was talking about this in a recent YouTube video. I did a get ready with me, and somebody asked me about how I'm doing. And I talked about how seasonal depression's been kind of kicking my ass lately, which is true, unfortunately. And like I said, the weather has a big thing to do with it. It's weird because I can feel myself get a little bit more anxious and a little bit more less motivated the more that we fall into fall and autumn season and the more that we go into the winter season. Now, right now it's December. In Canada, that basically just means automatic winter. During this time frame, it's snowing, it's cold, you got to get your winter tires on, there's not much to do outside, the days are very short. I think as soon as our time changes here, which I think happened like early November, that's really when you start to feel the effects of seasonal depression. I think fall weather starts to come in October, and then it still feels fun because you still have days that are a little bit warmer. You'll be like at 15 degrees, you'll see the trees start to change colors, and I'm not gonna lie, I think during that time frame it's pretty. You still have evenings that you can still see the sun. It's 7 p.m. The sun's starting to set at that time. And honestly, it's just a prettier time. So I think really for me is when that time changed and the sun started setting at 5 p.m. and it started rising super late. That's when I felt like I needed to start paying attention to myself more, because that's when I felt like seasonal depression was really kicking in. Now, I think for me, seasonal depression plays the biggest part in killing my motivation, which sucks a little bit because the winter is almost, in my eyes, the best time to grind. And what I mean by that is like the best time to be working full force towards your goals, because personally, in my life, I have less to do in terms of maybe my social life or random things that I would do during the day, and more time for myself. But I think that also plays into the fact that there's less distraction and more attention to the way that you feel. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I had to tell my family to be quiet because they were getting a little loud down there and I could just hear it in my own headphones. So, yeah. As I was saying, the mindset, I think, of seasonal depression is that it really kills motivation. And that's kind of the biggest trigger point for me because, I don't know, I think I'm very goal-centered in a way that's where I'm the hardest on myself. And if I'm not doing things in my day-to-day life that feel like I'm reaching towards a goal, it can really dampen the mood, the overall mood. So you can imagine my daily routine consists of getting work done throughout the day. I can work from wherever, and usually it will happen at home. I'll go somewhere like a coffee shop, get some work done. But for the most part, you know, I don't have a schedule, get up 8 a.m., 9 p.m. in an office, blah, 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 spend 5-6 hours there, drive home, leave the work there, come home, dinner, spend time with friends, family, whatever. So it requires a lot of self-diligence to get up at a certain hour, get work done at a certain hour, and be done by a certain hour. Unfortunately for me, the only time that I feel like I have a little bit of time to myself and a little bit of time to just relax is at night. And during that time, I get to watch shows on Netflix, play some fucking video games at night. I don't know. Just do random things that I couldn't allow myself to do during the day because I feel like I have to be so centered and focused on work. And then I'll wake up late. Okay, so I'll wake up 10. I'll wake up 11. And do you know how much daylight I'll get? About 3 to 4 hours of daylight. And half the time, like today, there's no sun, which means it just feels like a gloomy, dark day. And because I have this seasonal depression, it makes such an impact on my motivation, because when we hit 4 p.m. and the sun starts setting, and I feel like I haven't gotten enough done in my day because it feels like the day's already over, I will take that shit out on myself and I'll be like, oh my God, Alex, what the hell? Why did you stay up late last night? Why did you sleep so late today? Why did you waste the whole entire day doing this, that, whatever? You haven't got enough work done. You haven't done anything that you needed to do. And it's simply because I don't have the motivation and the willpower to get myself up and to do it. Now, in these points, I have to be a little bit easier on myself and a little bit kinder to myself, but it's hard because you're in a routine of, let's say during the summer, if I woke up at 10 and the sun sets at 8 p.m., I have hours in my day to mentally feel like I've gotten enough done. And that would be the thing. That's why I feel like it was so much easier at that time, because you could work until 6, 7 p.m. Sometimes I would, and sometimes I still do. And you have the rest of the night, and the sun will set at like 8, 9, and you have the rest of the night to feel like you still have 10 other things that you could do, and the day's not over yet. You go out to the store, you go buy something, you go meet up with your friend for some dinner, you can catch the sunset. You can do so much in a day, and it feels like there's more options on what you can do in a day during the summer versus the winter. I think a lot of it also has to do, like I said before, is the fact that you don't have as much to distract yourself with. And I think a lot of you guys understand it. I think a lot of you guys get it. It's such a killer of motivation. Like, I spend so much time in my room during the days, because that's just, like I said, I can work from anywhere. So I'm working from my room. I'm recording, I'm filming. Like this episode right now, I'm recording at home. I can edit it at home. I can do everything at home. The amount of time that I spend outside during actual daytime hours is really, really at a minimum. And I think obviously my lifestyle plays into the seasonal depression, but I also think that people that get up and go to work every day can still experience it just the same, because regardless, you're working inside somewhere and you still get out of work and it's nighttime. So it can be really, really, really hard, because by the time you get home and it's 5 p.m. and it's dark outside and you still have 10 other things on your list that you have to do, you don't have anything inside of you left to actually want to do it. I've been like in situations where I'm so hungry and I'm like, damn, I really need to cook myself something right now. But there's nothing inside of me that wants to do it. So I'll end up eating some fucking junk food, or I'll end up going out and buying food because it just feels easier, because there's just no more energy left inside. And I think a lot of us need to realize that, unfortunately, this is the way that we're going to feel for this time period and this season, but there are things, little things that we can do to try and help. And I feel like I haven't done enough of that during this season, because I felt such a deep effect of seasonal depression. Like, it's insane. I don't think I've had such a deep, I don't know. I honestly can't even remember the past couple winters and how I felt. I think during that time frame, I was experiencing a different kind of mental health issue. Like, I was kind of going through different things to the point where I wasn't really conscious about seasonal depression. I was kind of just conscious about, anxiety and other problems that I was going through at that time. But right now, it's like my life feels very aligned. Like, I feel okay. Like, I don't have any really deeper issues that I'm working through at the time apart from this. So I feel like that's why I'm very hyper focused on the fact that I know what's going on, this seasonal depression in my brain. And I know that I'm not really doing much to help it. So I feel like right now I'm going to talk about little things that you can do. I'm going to try to do them myself. Like I said in the last episode, I need to start taking my own advice, and hopefully this will help you guys too, because bro, I know how many people go through this for real. Like, I talk about it with my friends all the time, and also sometimes it can be a really casual topic, like, oh, yeah, seasonal depression, no biggie, whatever. Everyone goes through it, blah, blah, blah. But it can do such like a 360 on your mood. It's insane. Like the second you see the sun starting to go down, you can feel like dread inside of yourself. You're like, fuck, what's going on? Where did this day go? And what did I do? And like, why don't I feel accomplished for the day? Or why don't I feel like I've gotten anything done? Or why do I just feel like I can't get out of bed? Or I can't take a shower? Or I can't do anything that I actually needed to do today. And I'd rather just rot in bed because it feels like nighttime and I can just sit on my bed and watch Netflix and be happy. But here's how I think we can do little things to slowly but surely improve the way that we handle seasonal depression. Okay. I also want to remind you guys that you're allowed to feel this. Like, don't feel bad about being more sad or more moody or just not really enjoying this time frame of life, because it's so normal. It's literally something that happens to so many people who have, I guess, a little bit more of like reliance on the weather outside, the time that the sun is shining, the time that we get to spend outside, the fun activities that we can do during the time frame. And a lot of that is removed during this season. So it's okay. It's okay that you feel like this, okay? I feel like this. A lot of people feel like this. It's not abnormal. It's very common. But I don't want you guys to dwell in these feelings. I don't want you to feel sorry for yourselves because you can't do anything about it, because realistically you can, and it just takes a little bit more fucking effort, unfortunately, than it would if you were feeling fine, right? So there are, I guess you could say, some preventative measures that you could take once you feel like the time frame is changing, like the transition of the seasons is happening. Unfortunately, we're a little late on that, but it's never too late to start. Waking up earlier means that you're getting more sunlight during the day. It means that you're getting to see the sun out, or the clouds, but at least it's daytime, for a longer period of time. Now, where I'm at, the sun will rise at like 7:30. So anytime after that, you'll get to start seeing the sky and the daytime. Beautiful. That's definitely something that I have to do because my sleep schedule is actually atrocious. But I told you why. It's because I feel peace at nighttime. I feel like I don't have as many responsibilities that I have to think about because it's night and that's me time. And mentally, for my whole entire life, that's been the only time frame that's just for me. Because I work from home, every other hour during the day is dedicated to that, which is my own problem. And I'm not going to complain about that because I could fix it. So waking up early 100% means that you're getting more time to just see the daylight, regardless of anything else. Now, there's also something called light therapy. Basically, what happens when you don't see the sun during the day, you're not going outside, is you start to lack vitamin D. We're getting a little scientific here. I'm not a fucking scientist, so don't take this word for word. But I did used to work at a tanning salon, okay? So I did learn a little bit about this. My manager forced me to read a lot of articles about vitamin D therapy, so that I could, sell fucking packages of tanning to other people. This is, I know, a little bit of a controversial topic because it does kind of include the idea of like getting UV rays onto your skin, because that's what happens when you lay out in the sun. You get UV rays into your skin and such. But you could do this in a smart way. Oh, I actually have a little story too. My grandma told me this story. This will make sense when I'm done this story, okay? So when my grandma was younger, you can imagine, I don't think mental health was too much of a subject back in the day. My grandma was like 80 something years old. So when she was a teenager, she struggled a lot and wasn't feeling good during the winter months. And she had a lot of physical ailments that would happen to her. So she was like feeling dizzy, feeling sick, feeling like just overall unwell. And I think that a lot of you guys that struggle with mental health will realize or know that your mental health will affect your physical health like no other. So these were basically unknown to her at the time, but physical manifestations of poor mental health and depression. She went to the doctor and they basically diagnosed her with lack of vitamin D. So she went to lay in a tanning bed, and I can't remember how many times she did this, but she felt better after it. Because what happened in these tanning beds is that she was absorbing vitamin D that she wasn't getting during the day, And because she was lacking vitamin D, it was affecting her mental health and it was creating more depression in her body and her mind. So I don't know if that story was really good because it was so brief, but that's all I remembered about the story. But what I'm trying to say here is that literally laying in a tanning bed can give you like, I can't remember, like maybe like 10,000 to 20,000 doses of vitamin D. And I might be using the wrong word, so go and look this up for yourself. But there's like a word for it, but it'll give you that much amount of vitamin D that you would get from laying in the sun for like 30 minutes. Of course, if you're going to do that, protect your skin. You're not really going in there for a tan. You're just going in there for vitamin D. Wear some fucking sunscreen. If you want to get a tan too, then I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something that popped into my head because I learned about it. So I thought, why not? Obviously, you could also take vitamin D supplements as another solution to that because that's something that I do sometimes. It's just a well-known thing that in the wintertime, people are lacking vitamin D. And if you want to go get a blood test and check, I'll probably be right, but I'm not gonna, not gonna say for sure. Now, the same as anything else, seasonal depression is something that affects your mental health. So I always talk about having days and time frames where you check in on your mental health and you journal. Journaling is one of my favorite things to do. I've been slacking recently, unfortunately. I used to journal a lot more, but I think that writing in a positive light about your days and what you're grateful for, gratitude journaling, things like that will help you because you need to make an effort to look at things positively when you're experiencing seasonal depression. It doesn't come easy. It's really about changing your mindset and how you look at this time of year, and a lot of us will look at it in a negative light because it's so different to summer. Summer's happier, summer's brighter, summer's sunnier, and winter is the complete opposite. So you have to kind of search for ways to look at it positively. You have to search for ways to kind of think about it in a positive light, and journaling and creating gratitude journals actually really helps with that. Now, a big thing is when you're going into this season or when you're in it, like I said, you need to change your routine because it is a different time frame. Seasons are like seasons in ourselves. The seasons that happen exteriorly in the environment are the same kind of vibe when you think about seasons within yourself. You are going to have to adapt with your environment. Now, like I said, waking up earlier would obviously be something to add to your routine. Apart from that, just eating healthier and eating more balanced, doing this will change how your body feels. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that extra energy. So why not do that for yourself? Because if you're inside most days, you're not doing much. Feeling your body in the right way will give you more energy, which in turn will hopefully give you a little bit more motivation during your days. This is something that I do sometimes too, is to start the day with happy music. I started looking up playlists on Spotify that were like happy morning songs. And instead of sitting in my bed in the morning and going through Instagram, going through TikTok, going through my texts and blah, 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 I would get up, I'd open Spotify and I'd play this playlist and then start my day just simply like that. Because me personally, I'm very, very affected, I guess you could say, by music, just because, I don't know, I love it. I love music and it can really, really easily change my mood, which is good because it's the one thing that I know that can like lift me up at times when I'm just subconsciously don't even realize it. So playing an actual playlist or making one for yourself that you know are songs that you really fuck with and you really love and like create like a high energy, and playing that right in the morning will start your day off a lot better than you just sitting around going through Instagram, watching what everybody else is doing that's fun in the world and like just feeling sorry for yourself, because I've been there, okay? I've been there. I also feel like taking advantage of this beautiful thing, which is Christmas lights, and decorating your home, getting into the spirit of Christmas if you celebrate, is definitely something that can help boost your mood, because there's something about lighting in your home that can really change the way that it feels. And my mom decorated the whole entire like first floor of our home with Christmas lights at every freaking corner. So I love to be able to get home and to see that, or to just walk downstairs and to see that. Unfortunately, I didn't do anything to my room, but what I like to do to liven up my room is open up the curtains right away, get as much of the daylight into my home or into my room as possible. I always light a candle. I actually recently bought some flowers for myself, which I'm looking at them right now and they are dying. But having something that's alive in your room too will really heighten the element of like having a brighter home and brighter room. I have a couple of plants as well, other than flowers. They're all dying. I don't know what's going on with them. Maybe it's my negative energy that's killing them. I mean, it makes sense that the flowers are dying. I bought them like over a week ago, but my plant's been living for 2 years and now it's drooping and looking disgusting. So maybe she's lacking a little vitamin D too. I don't know. I need to ask my mom how to fix that. I'm not a plant whisperer, but just getting stuff to elevate your room, elevate your space. I also feel like keeping a really clean and organized space is so important too. The same way that your environment of the seasons and what's going on outside will affect your mood, your environment, like your direct environment, being your room or your office space or where you work every day, is also going to affect your mood. Making it an embodiment of yourself almost, being as clean and organized as possible to how you like to go about your day-to-day life, making it aesthetically pleasing, making it look nice, things like that will actually make a difference on your mood because it's your direct environment. It's what you're in every single day. So obviously it's going to do something to how you feel. Now, if you are like in an area the same way that I am that's experiencing very cold seasons and you celebrate Christmas and things like that, I also feel like one great way to kind of, I guess, fight this seasonal depression is to actually take advantage of the season. Although there are so many negatives that we have talked about winter that we don't like, there's also a lot of positives because you only get to celebrate Christmas one time a year, baby. And you only get to have these types of festivities and things that are happening during this season right now. So things that I've been doing lately to kind of get myself more into the Christmas spirit, which I like feeling more festive and feeling more like holiday-ish because it's such a nice cozy feeling, to be honest. And during this time frame, I've gone ice skating, which was really nice. If you're in like the greater Toronto area, obviously there's so many places downtown you can go ice skating. There's also Wonderland, which I went to, which is the amusement park. And other things that you could do is go and see Christmas light shows. I've done that a couple years back as well. You take your car through and you see the light shows, or I'm sure you could find light shows around your area that are like free. Like you can literally go to like nice homes that decorate their houses. And I've done that too. I've driven around and seen like really beautiful homes with like such gorgeous like Christmas lights surrounded. And it just does something, man. I don't know if you guys appreciate that the same way that I do, but I do. Okay. And like just seeing that will boost your mood. Like just pick up a friend, go, buy a hot chocolate somewhere, go to Tim Hortons, go to Starbucks, whatever, get your hot little cocoa and start driving around. These are little things that sometimes don't really cross your mind because you'd rather just sit at home. If you're like anything like me, you'd rather just sit at home and watch the show you've been binging on Netflix, because trust me, that's exactly what I want to do right now. And just relax. But there's something about actually putting in that effort to get up and do things, even though you might not want to, even though you might not have that energy to do that, that is actually going to help you. When you're done, you're going to feel better than sitting at home and repeating the same thing that you've been doing for the past 2 weeks. Also, something that gets me into the spirit is going Christmas shopping. And I know it can be annoying because nobody really wants to spend that much money. But when you think about it, it's just the act of giving, like buying something that actually will mean something to someone will either really benefit their life or, that they really love, or that comes from your heart and will show them that you love them, things like that. Not even actually having to spend your money, maybe making something for someone, maybe painting something for someone. It's really about finding ways to invest your time into things that you might not feel like you have the energy for, but then doing it anyways because it'll make you feel better in the long run. I started painting, which is kind of embarrassing because I'm no artist. I'm really not. But it's fun for me, and I've painted a couple things before. I've like had my moments where I get into this like weird artistic vibe. Like I've literally painted a couple things that I've like hung in my room before, which they're currently in the basement. They're not there anymore. But I found a canvas in my basement, an empty big old canvas, and then I found some paint. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can paint myself something for my room. Didn't turn out exactly how I thought because I finished painting it and I looked at it and it just looked like, I tried to do a little abstract piece and it just looked like a lot of color just smudged onto the canvas. And you know what? It's not a dud because I can go back and fix it one day. I just haven't had the energy to do it yet, but maybe I will. Anyways, things like that, things that will brighten up your mood, tap into a little bit more of a creative energy, things that will allow you to socialize more, things that will allow you to spend more time with other people. And if you don't feel like spending time with other people, then do some solo things. Baking is awesome. I baked some cupcakes. They didn't turn out good, but it's not the point. They were edible. They were just so sweet and like too sweet. But anyways, cooking. I love cooking. I feel like it's so therapeutic, like playing some music, play some Christmas music, go cook whatever you feel like eating, get a glass of wine, feel like a chef on one of those chefing shows. I do that all the time and it really boosts the mood. Make some tea, have some cozy nights in. Take advantage of this time period, bro. I'm telling you. I feel like a lot of the times, if it were the summer, okay, imagine this. It was the summer. I really don't think it would be your first option of like a Friday evening to make some tea and sit inside, paint your toenails or give yourself a manicure or, like I said, bake some cookies, bake some cakes, bake some cupcakes on a Friday night, right? Because you would be thinking, let me go out. Let me go do something. Let me go to the beach. Let me go swimming. Let me go blah, 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 because it's summer. But now you don't have those options, unfortunately, but you have other options where you can either take care of yourself, socialize with other people, do something creative, do something to make you feel good, and enjoy this extra time that we have that for a lot of people, we don't really want to spend outdoors because of this weather. Okay? Dedicate a lot of your time to self-care because, like I said, we have more time. And the key thing here is to take advantage of the extra time that we might have because we don't have as much distracting elements from outside and nice weather to do things like I said before. So take the time to take care of yourself, okay? Now, these were a lot of different ideas that just came to my dome right now. I'm sure there are more. So if you guys want to share some ideas and I'll like repost them or whatever it might be, maybe we can make a little thing on Instagram where we have more ideas on how to fight seasonal depression potentially. But if you guys want to check that out, go to @BetweenYouAndMe podcast on Instagram. I also created a TikTok where I make like more content that has to do with this type of stuff. So it's the same thing, @BetweenYouAndMe podcast on TikTok. Go follow there. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for listening. I think that's all for today. I don't really have anything else. I don't really have any other tips, but I love you guys. The main key thing is if you are really, really struggling, please do not hesitate to ask for help. And I think that if you are really struggling and you're listening to this, that's step one because, you're finding a way to get out of the funk, get out of the way that you feel and attempting to do something to change it, which I'm proud of you guys for doing if that's the case for you guys. If you're just listening to listen, then I thank you for that as well. And I'm pretty sure this will be my last episode of the year until season 3. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me throughout this whole entire year. I really, really, really appreciate it. And there will be more fun and some heartfelt, for sure, topics to be talked about next year. Don't forget to DM me if you have any ideas at all. I love hearing what you guys have to say about the podcast and any ideas that you have. I read the DMs all the time. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye!